All right, thank you guys. The Packers take on the Niners, and that's going to be an 8:20 p.m. Eastern kickoff this this Thursday night. Friday night, where'd that come from? Already thinking about the weekend already. But anyway, the Packers are the 3-point favorite on the road. Totals 51 flat. We're 2-0 in our last two extra daily picks on patreon.com/Brock Page. And access to the extra daily pick costs just $2.99. We also won 2 out of our last 3 board member tier package plays on that site as well. We currently have over 625 members signed up and active on that page. And if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/Brock Page. Now, when it comes to this Packers-Niners game, San Francisco is currently plus $1.25 for some money line cash. Now, the Niners are coming fresh off a double-digit loss to the Seahawks, where they gave up 37 total points. They're actually down 27-7 heading into the fourth quarter. The Niners have also lost 3 out of their last 5, and they failed to cover the point spread in 3 of those contests. Right now, San Fran ranks in the bottom 10 in the league in home scoring on average per game. They're also in the bottom 3 in fourth quarter scoring at home. They've gone just 1-3 straight up at Levi's Stadium this season, and they failed to cover the number in 3 out of those 4 ball games. So certainly stroke of bad luck at home this year. Of course, they have been extremely banged up, especially in those home games. Now, they are taking on a Green Bay squad who's currently 5-2 straight up on the season, 71% against the spread in those contests, despite a tough loss yesterday. Green Bay ranks in the top 10 in yards per play, top 5 in road scoring. Now, Aaron Rodgers has thrown for over 1,900 yards and 20 touchdowns already. Devontae Adams has 43 catches for 502 yards and 7 scores. And tight end Robert Tonyan also has 23 grabs for nearly 14 yards of reception and 5 TDs. This Green Bay rushing attack is also averaging nearly 130 yards a game on the ground. Green Bay's 3-1 straight up when they travel this season, 3-1 against the spread in those contests. Now, total-wise, when it comes to the number in this one, 2 out of Green Bay's 4 road games got over the posted number. 6 out of the Packers' last 8 contests against the NFC got over the line as well. So if you're into historical trends, it's certainly leaning toward the over in this one. Meanwhile, the Niners on the other side saw 4 out of their last 7 get over the total themselves. Give me the Green Bay Packers -3 and the over 51 in that contest. Before we go ahead and move on, just want to take another quick timeout and welcome you to the video. Got some lines and personal leans out for NFL Week 9. We are officially past the halfway point. Things are going real fast, and before you know it, it's going to be playoff time. But anyway, before we go ahead and dive into some more free content right here on YouTube, just got to quickly remind you once again that we are currently 2-0 in our last 2 extra daily picks on patreon.com/Brock Page, and access to the extra daily pick costs just $2.99. We also won 2 out of our last 3 board member tier package plays on that site as well. We currently have over 625 members signed up and active on that site, and if you want to join them and get in on the action, link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/Brock Page. And moving on, we're going to take a look at the Broncos taking on the Falcons. 1 p.m. Eastern start time this Sunday. The Falcons are the 4-point favorite at home. They're -4 at home. Total's 48 flat. Denver's plus $1.60 for an upset win. They are also coming off a real nice late-minute come-from-behind victory over the Chargers. Denver scored 21 fourth-quarter points to win by the final of 31-30. And, of course, that's going to make it 3-1 straight up in their last 4. Not a lot of people talking about the Broncos right now, but once again, 3-1 straight up in their last 4. And that includes victories over New England and the Jets. Now, the Broncos, I forget what I'm trying to say here. They're officially, I got it. It's back. They're officially covering 71% of their ball games this season, and they've gone a perfect 3-0 against the spread on the road. Now, this Denver D ranks in the top 10 in fewest points allowed when traveling. Bradley Chubb has 5.5 sacks on the season, 7.5 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble. Callahan and Simmons each have a pair of interceptions from that Broncos secondary. And linebacker Alex Johnson currently leads the club in tackles with 56 of them. Denver's in the top 10 in fewest second quarter points allowed on the road. They're also in the top 3 in fewest third quarter points allowed on the road as well. So certainly some bright spots for this Bronco team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Now Denver's taking on an Atlanta team who's winless at home this season, 0-4 straight up in the Dome, 0-4 against the spread in those ball games. Really bad at home this year. This Atlanta defense is in the top 3 in the league in pass yards allowed, top 3 in yards allowed per play. And when it comes to the total in this one, 2 out of the Falcons' last 4 home games got over the posted number. Their defense is in the top 10 in the league and most points allowed at home. Meanwhile, the Broncos on the other side saw their last 2 straight get over the posted number themselves. 2 out of their last 3 road games got over the line as well. So with all that said and done, give me the underdog Broncos +4 and the over 48 in that ball game. Next contest, it is going to be Seahawks squaring off against the Bills. This should be a good one, and I'm talking about a 1 p.m. Eastern start time in Buffalo. The Seahawks are the 3-point favorite on the road. Total's 51.5. Now the Bills are plus $1.35 to win this one outright. The Bills are on a 2-game winning streak right now. 6-2 straight up overall for the season. They do rank in the top 10 in passing, top 10 in yards per play. Josh Allen's thrown for nearly 2,200 yards already. An incredible year thus far for him. He's got 16 touchdown passes. He's also averaging nearly 275 yards a game through the air. So certainly some stellar performances out of Josh Allen. Now wide receiver Stephon Diggs has 54 grabs for 695 yards and 3 touchdowns. Diggs is averaging 13 yards of reception and nearly 90 yards receiving a game. He's almost at the 700-yard mark already for the season. The Bills have gone 3-1 straight up at home this year, and they rank in the top 10 in fourth quarter scoring. They're taking on a Seattle club who failed to cover the point spread in 2 out of their last 3 themselves. The Seahawks rank in the top 3 in the league in most pass yards allowed per contest. They're also in the top 5 in most yards allowed per play. Seattle gives up nearly 30 points a game when they travel and well over 350 yards through the air. They've been horrible defensively. The Seattle D has given up 25 points or more in 6 out of their 7 contests on the season. Now, total-wise, Seattle's last 2 straight both went over the number there. Their games went 71% to the over for the entire season. Meanwhile, the Bills on the other side are 3-1 to the over at home this year, 6-2 to the over at any location. So with all that said and done, give me the underdog Bills +3 and the over 51.5 in that contest. All right, next matchup. It is going to be Baltimore, Indy, 1 p.m. East. The Ravens are the 3-point favorite on the road. Total's 44.5. The Colts are plus $1.60 to get the job done at home. Now, Indy's failed to cover the point spread in 2 out of their last 3, and those failures to cover actually came against the likes of Cincinnati and Cleveland. So certainly couldn't get the job done against the number against those teams who have struggled significantly this year in certain spots. Now, Indy also ranks in the bottom 10 in the league in rushing, bottom 5 in first quarter scoring at home. They're taking on a Baltimore squad who won 3 out of their last 4 themselves, despite a loss yesterday to the undefeated Steelers. The Ravens are also 3-0 straight up on the road, 2-1 against the spread in those 3 road ball games. Baltimore ranks in the top 10 in scoring, top 3 in rushing. The Ravens are also averaging nearly 180 a game on the ground, as Lamar Jackson's currently leading the team in rushing with 411 yards on the ground and a couple of scores. Now, this Baltimore D also ranks in the top 3 in the league in fewest points allowed per contest. They're in the top 10 in fewest rush yards allowed per game. And, of course, a lot of that is thanks to rookie Patrick Queen, who currently leads this club with 48 total tackles. He's also got a pair of sacks and 2 fumble recoveries, one of them for a touchdown. This Ravens D also has 24 total sacks on the season, mostly thanks to Calais Campbell, who has 4 of them, along with 6 tackles for loss. Now, Baltimore's already forced a dozen turnovers this season, with quarterback Marlon Humphrey punching the ball out 4 times already. Baltimore's in the top 5 in fewest yards allowed per play. They're also in the top 3 in fewest first quarter points allowed on the road. Now, total-wise, when it comes to the number in this one, Baltimore's last 2 straight got over the posted number. Meanwhile, 2 out of their last 3 road games also got over the line as well. Meanwhile, the Colts on the other side, their last 3 straight contests got over the posted number themselves. So with all that said and done, I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the road team in this one. Give me the Ravens, -3 in the over 44.5 in that game. All right, next matchup, it is going to be the Texans squaring off against the Jags, and that's going to be a 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff in Jacksonville. The Texans are the 7-point favorite on the road, totals 51.5. The Jags are plus 225 for an outright win. Now, the Jags did receive their lone home win on the season. Actually, let me rephrase that. They received their lone win on the season at home this year, and that was a 27-20 victory over a very good Colts team in Week 1. Now, this Jags defense, as bad as they've been in certain spots, they do actually rank in the top 10 in fewest fourth quarter points allowed at home. Linebacker Joe Schobert currently leads the team in tackles with 56 of them, along with safety Josh Jones, who has 60. I'm sorry, let's try that again. Josh Jones and Joe Schobert, they each have 56 tackles. They're both leading the team in tackles. There you go, Brock. All right. And, of course, can't forget about linebacker Miles Jack, who has 41 tackles, a sack, and an interception on the season himself. Jacksonville is taking on a Houston team who lost their last 2 straight themselves. 77 total points they gave up in those 2 contests combined. Now, the Texans are just 1-6 straight up on the season, and they failed to cover the number in 6 out of those 7 contests. The Texans are also a winless 0-3 straight up on the road, 0-3 against the spread in those games when traveling. Houston's in the bottom 3 in rushing, bottom 3 in offensive time of possession on the road. They're also giving up 35 points a game on the road and nearly 200 yards a game on the ground when they travel. Now, total-wise, the Texans are 3-0 to the over on the road this year. Meanwhile, the Jags on the other side are 4-3 to the over for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward another underdog in this one. Give me the underdog Jaguars +7 and the over 51.5 in that ball game. All right, next matchup I have for you. It is going to be the Panthers taking on the Chiefs, 1 p.m. East. The Chiefs are the 12.5-point favorite at home, totals 51 and a hook. The Panthers are plus $5 for an outright win. Now, the Panthers are also on a 3-game losing streak. Losses to Atlanta, New Orleans, and Chicago during that stretch. Carolina's in the bottom 10 in scoring, bottom 5 in road rushing. They're actually gaining less than 83 yards a game on the ground when they travel. The Panthers have actually dropped 7 out of their last 9 road games, and of course, that dates back to last season. So if you're into historical trends, and if you're into current trends, kind of a little hybrid of the two. But anyway, not a whole lot of success on the road over the past couple of years. Now, they are also ranking in the top 10 in most passing yards allowed on the road, top 10 in most yards allowed per play away from home as well. The Chiefs, on the other side, they're coming fresh off a 35-9 win over the Jets. They continue to roll. They actually easily covered a 20-point spread in that one. Very high number for an NFL game, but they got the job done. Now, KC is currently on a 3-game winning streak, and they're currently 7-1 straight up on the year. More importantly for bettors, KC's covering 75% of their ball games. They're 3-1 straight up at home, 3-1 against the number in those 4 home contests. This Kansas City offense ranks in the top 3 in scoring, top 3 in yards per play. Of course, Patty Mahomes looks great. He's thrown for over 2,300 yards, along with 21 touchdowns. Tight end Travis Kelce has caught 48 balls for 610 yards and 6 scores. And of course, wideout Tyreek Hill has also caught 35 passes for 537 and 7 touchdowns himself. This Kansas City rushing attack is also gaining nearly $1.25 a game on the ground. That's mostly thanks to rookie Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who touched it 121 times for 572 yards and a couple of scores. Meanwhile, defensively on the other side of the ball, the Chiefs rank in the top 3 in fewest points allowed, top 3 in fewest yards allowed through the air. Snead, Matthew, and Sorensen each have a pair of interceptions out of this Chiefs secondary. Chris Jones has 4.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. Meanwhile, linebacker Damian Wilson has 52 total tackles, which leads the team. He also has 1 forced fumble and 3 tackles for loss. This Kansas City defense is in the top 3 in fewest third quarter points allowed. Now, total-wise, when it comes to the number in this one, 2 out of the Chiefs' last 3 contests stayed under the posted total. Meanwhile, 5 out of Carolina's last 6 stayed under the line themselves. Give me the Chiefs minus 12.5 and the under 51.5 in that contest. All right, next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Lions-Vikings, 1 p.m. Eastern start time. Now, the Vikings are the 4-point favorite at home. Total's 52.5. The Lions are plus $1.70 for some money line cash. Detroit's won 2 out of their last 3 ball games, and they did cover the number in they covered the number in 3 out of their last 5 as well. They're also 3-1 straight up when they travel, and they covered the number in 3 out of those 4 contests. So really, Detroit playing their best football on the road. The Lions are in the top 10 in fewest pass yards allowed on the road, top 5 in fewest rush yards allowed on the road as well. Tracy Walker currently leads this Detroit D with 51 total tackles and 4 PBUs. Safety Deron Harmon also has a pair of interceptions out of this Detroit secondary. 4 PBUs for him as well. Detroit ranks in the top 3 in fewest first quarter points allowed. They're also in the top 10 in fewest fourth quarter points allowed on the road. Now, they are taking on a Minnesota squad who averages under 225 yards passing a game, so really hasn't been able to establish an explosive passing game. And despite their inspired victory yesterday over Green Bay, the Vikes, they've still lost 5 of 7 on the season, and they find themselves 0-3 straight up at home. Now, Minnesota's in the top 3 in most points allowed at home, top 3 in most pass yards allowed at home as well. So defensively, also struggling in many different spots. They're giving up 38 points per contest at US Bank Stadium, 346 yards a game through the air at home as well. Now, total-wise, Minnesota's last 2 straight both got over the posted number. They're currently 3-0 to the over at home. Meanwhile, the Lions on the other side of things, they are 4-3 to the over for the entire NFL 2020 season themselves. So with all that said and done, give me the Underdog Lions plus 4 and the over 52.5 in that ball game. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Once again, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind, we'll bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. Most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Monday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.